What's going on, guys? I'm sure the audio and the lighting is horrendous. Let me know in the chat if it's working at all, because this is a rigged setup, but it's been weeks since I have streamed because it's hard to even acknowledge the tragedy that occurred that has completely disoriented me, and it's really just in the last couple of days that I feel like I can, you know, coherently communicate in a meaningful way, and I'm certainly not out to waste anyone's time. So first of all, I want to encourage anybody that hasn't contributed to the GoFundMe for Devin. His family's trying to get him back home. I don't think I posted the address in the description of this video. I meant to, but if you go back one live stream, it's not a lot of work. You will find the stream that tells the story and the GoFundMe link, and we all would appreciate it if any of you can make a contribution to that. But that is not the topic that I jumped on here to discuss tonight. Although towards the end of the stream, I might actually talk a little bit about what I've learned so far, because I'm thinking that the best way that I can serve the tragedy is to share the journey of experiencing that with my audience, because as you guys know, a lot of what motivates me is to try and help people to heal from trauma and empower themselves to you know, live their highest possible potential. And in a sense, it was actually this tragedy that inspired me to choose the subject that I did tonight, because I saw some video of the Hamas-Israel conflict. Bombs, they are so powerful. It was shocking to see these fireballs just decimate like these entire massive buildings. I mean, it, you know, and I think because of the visceral connection with loss and watching these parents carrying their bloody daughters and bloody sons to the ambulances, frantic and screaming, you know, I think I connected with the visceral reality of what was happening there like I never have before, because of what I just experienced, you know what I mean? And something hit me, and that something was that the people that orchestrate these wars profit from every single stage of it. They sell themselves the bombs using your taxpayer money. They sell them to themselves. The tank treads, the missiles, the machine guns, the bullets, every single instrument of destruction they sell to themselves. And then they even paint themselves as the hero and call it aid, right? Like US aid is saving the world. It's not aid. It's an excuse to sell themselves guns and bombs and missiles and tank treads. That's what's really happening. So they use your money to blow people up. Children, dogs, like, you know, whatever you can imagine. Think about Nagasaki and Hiroshima, what actually happened there. They dropped bombs that kindle the same energy that lights the stars upon moms and dogs and babies and children, and they burn their fucking shadows into the sidewalks with them. People are still dying. The pilots committed suicide. I don't think that most people are capable of accepting what is happening on this planet. It's just too much. It's beyond the fold of what people can accept. But that doesn't make it any less real. You know, and for me, in order to really understand that, I think it had to happen like right in front of me. You know, something that was like too bad to be real, but still was anyways. And then you're just kind of stuck with it. You know, you can't really put your head in the sand. You know, if you're actually in Hiroshima or Nagasaki, you couldn't deny that. But here's the point. They create the conflicts They create the enemy. They train the terrorists. And they tell you we're protecting you, right, from these terrorists that they have created. And then they go to war, and a bunch of people lose legs. They become paralyzed. You know, all this stuff happens. But who owns the hospitals? Who owns the companies that makes the medical equipment? They do. So then they profit from injuring people, from maiming people, from mutilating people. And then who owns the construction companies? Halliburton and all the rest. They go in and rebuild. They profit from that as well. You know, it's a documented fact that US weapons have been fired on both sides in the Hamas-Israel conflict. They have been funding both sides of these conflicts since at least World War I, and probably forever. This is nothing new. This is nothing new, but it needs to stop. It needs to fucking stop. They use your money to buy the weapons to blow up your kids. And then they use your money to make money off of the suffering and the, you know, decimation of human lives. And then they make money off of rebuilding, and then they just blow it up again. And the whole thing is just a ruse. It's a hustle. People need to finally accept that it is that bad. That's actually what's happening in the world. You know, and it's so funny because even since biblical times, they have rubbed the common man's nose in what they're doing. They've made it so plain and obvious that once you snap out of it and you realize what's actually happening, you can tell they have been telling you the whole time. Jesus walked on water. He was resurrected. Oh wait, the sun resurrects every day. Light sparkles on water. You know what I mean? They have been rubbing your nose in how dumb you are. In every way possible. Right now, State Street, right, who is a conglomerate with like Vanguard and a couple of others, they own 85% of the Standard & Poor. State Street. So you have United States citizens like, I'll never live under communism. You dumb motherfucker, you already are. It's literally called State Street, like the state owns everything. And you are getting the crumbs that fall off the fucking table. Can you imagine what your life would be like, what everyone's life would be like, if there was some reasonably even distribution of the fruits of the labors of humanity? Can you imagine the technology, the art, the music that would come from a fully liberated, fully supported, illuminated society? The only reason that isn't happening is because a few narcissistic, sociopathic psychopaths are in control of the media, the wealth, every aspect of your life. You know, that's what's really hood. I just, you know, it just gets to a point where you just can't take it anymore. Really. You know, I mean, I've been saying this, you know, my entire life, like since I was a child, because if you're not indoctrinated into it, it turns out, you know, you just see it and you're like, what? Really? You guys are playing along? Like what? How? How do you do it? How do people do it? I don't understand how people do it. You know, and since this tragedy in my life, you know, I have suddenly become infinitely more connected and aware of the value and the beauty and the, I guess, you know, importance of everything that we take for granted. And that hasn't made it any easier to ignore State Street and Vanguard and, you know, what is it, BlackRock, and who is that group that's been around since the Civil War? They're mercenaries. They've just been killing everyone for like 200 years, and they're like one of the richest families on earth. And by the way, you guys, you know, don't forget to join my Patreon. It was a train wreck today because the internet is so bad, but it really is, I think, really valuable content for anyone that's into mysticism or trying to understand the universe in any way. And, you know, this situation has definitely decimated us. Like, we are destroyed. So we, you know, all bullshit aside, we definitely appreciate support right now. But our first priority is Devin's family. So that's why I haven't made a GoFundMe for us or said much about it, because I would really, you know, I do mean it when I say that we should prioritize trying to get Devin home. But yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy watching the destruction in those videos. Just these entire cities are just completely decimated in the rubble. And there's like Mr. Burns somewhere, you know, sitting in some castle watching this shit and rubbing his chin like, yes, I just dropped $1.2 billion worth of bombs that I sold to myself on, you know, $1.5 billion worth of new construction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, by this time next year, we will have killed almost all of them, and we will have replaced them with AI robots, and you know what I mean? Like, that's what's happening. Don't bullshit yourself. Don't bullshit yourself. And honestly, I can see it from their point of view. I can, you know? Because they're like, you know, most of these people aren't even awake. They're watching Jerry Springer and listening to terrible music with no substance, and they're just, you know, fucking gobbling Xanax and McDonald's and, you know, that, like, what, who cares, you know, blow them all up, who gives a fuck? Like, I get it, I totally do, you know, I understand, you gotta trim the fat, it makes sense, but I think that, you know, they're culpable because they created it all in the first place, you know what I mean? They drove the machine to create all of this gibberish, all of this, you know, substanceless, toxic, moronic, fucking dumb fuckery. You know, they created it all, and then it has to suffer for them. And why? Why? They're not cool. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like enjoying, you know, the mysteries of life and like, you know, rocking out on acid to some amazing band. And you know what I mean? They're just like sitting around being douches. Like, they're, you know, fucking Burns Beaks and whatever. I mean, it's not cool. There's nothing good about it. Like, what motivates them? That's what I don't understand, you know? Like, if you were like a god that like got off on eating stars, and you know what I mean? Like, I could see like, okay, the destruction is worth it because it's so fucking epic. But they're not even cool, you know? They're not even doing anything cool. They're just these like horrific, fucking lame ass douches causing all this suffering and misery and fucking destruction, and just for what? For what? For what? So I guess basically what I'm saying is, you know, you gotta just, we all have to do everything we can to, how did Maynard put it in that Tool song? Something about the, I don't know, it's a French word, réveillé, the bugle call of the army, calling all to arms and order. I mean, this is it, you know what I mean? This is it. Like, we are either going to finally wake up and take a stand, or we're all gonna be slaves. That's what's on the table. That's it, you know? There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, that's what's happening. And it's true, you know, that they have given us more of a fair shake than a lot of people think. You know, if you're smart enough to figure out where not to be, what not to eat, what not to take, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, they see it and they're like, okay, population reduction. They're going after the ones that think and whatnot, but are they? Why are they giving people the thing that are complicit? Doesn't it actually kind of seem like they want the people that are intelligent and awake to survive this? What I just said right there is the real reason I'm shadow banned, right? Because they have to be careful how many people understand this. But hear me well, they're actually not killing the ones that are awake. Illuminati. Huh. Almost sounds like people that would protect the illuminated and dispose of everybody else. Couldn't be. Couldn't be, because then psychedelics would suddenly be tolerated and legalized and and you'd be able to find the secrets of the Illuminati openly broadcast on YouTube. That's a bit weird, isn't it? It's almost like when you were told that things aren't what you think, they were talking to you too. The story, when it takes a twist, it folds like a contortionist. Sleight of hand, quick exchange, the old tricks are rearranged. So, you know, that's really all I have to say about that. Life is like a box of nuclear holocaust. Stupid is as stupid dies, I suppose. But seriously, I mean, you know, you guys, we got to get over the doubt. The doubt is crippling. The doubt is paralyzing. But you have to believe in yourself. You absolutely have to. We have to start making meaningful connections. We have to start really collaborating. We got to start digging deep. We have to commit to full awareness and full consciousness in every moment. Without reservation, fully present. I guess that's all I have to say about that. So do me a favor and hit the like button, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon, and hopefully I'll be able to get back on track and start putting out the content that I had intended before things went sideways. You know, and by the way, I do want to touch on this. I don't want to go way into it because, you know, I can't handle it. But there is something I can offer people that may have to go through some sort of tragedy. You know, maybe even one of Devin's family members will be watching this at some point, and this can help them. But, you know, and I'm not trying to have a pity party. I'm just offering context. You know, when this happened, after years and years and years of struggle, you know, my family was finally, like, we were in paradise. The weather's perfect all the time. We had peace. My YouTube channel was finally overcoming the shadow ban. We're gaining numbers. The crypto market turned green. I've been playing guitar more than I had in a decade or two. I mean, a long time. Like, relationships were improving. My health was getting better. Like, you know, the connections were being made. Some big influencers had, you know, reached out to me, like really big ones. And we just totally thought we were finally, like, all of our years of faith and just like pushing through no matter what, you know, it was certain that we were on the horizon of the, you know, fruits of those labors. And then just like something more unimaginably horrible than you could, you know, I mean, it was off the charts. Why? Why would that happen? you know? And then you can go ahead and factor in like who he was and his family, and you know what I mean? Like, it just, there's so many levels of like horror. And I do have a couple of answers, and they're not, you know, complete, but it is something. You know, there's this Grateful Dead lyric, when life looks like easy street, there is danger at your door. Believe that shit. Believe that. I mean, and the reason is that everything contains its contradiction. I say that all the time, right? But I guess sometimes I don't really know how much I mean it or something, you know? But the perfect moment, I mean, how many times have you heard this? This is my proof. You know, your success is your proof. How many times have you heard that? Everything was exactly perfect. You know, my daughter was doing great in college and blah, 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 blah. My husband had just got, and then the stage 4 cancer or the fucking bullet randomly, like whatever, you know. That's always like, you know, there's so many stories like that. So everything contains its contradiction. If you move into one of these periods where it's like there's so much perfection, there's gonna be some anti-corollary that's gonna balance that shit. And, you know, I do feel like maybe I should have had my guard up more, because I should have known that the formula, I know the formula, you know. So there's that, and then also I think that, you know, there are symmetries in the universe. There are movements, there are progressions of order that happen according to certain patterns. And so, you know, we're all a little bit solipsistic. We've all been infected by like this new age idea that you just manifest whatever you're thinking or whatever. And it's not entirely false, I'm sure of that. But it's not entirely true either, because there's chaos and order, 50-50, and they're perfectly balanced. Right? That's how the universe works. So we see all of these elements moving in the same direction with symmetry, and we take it personally, and we think, okay, I have control of my microcosm. You know, I am the God of my universe. And you should, to an extent, be thinking like that. But, you know, it's not that. It's just that there are these symmetries and geometries that happen to be moving in the same direction. And that, you know, doesn't mean that you have control of everything. It just means that there are symmetries and things are moving in the same direction because there are forces that govern the universe that are constrained to a certain symmetry. So it definitely, you know, can give you a false sense of security, like pockets jingling. You know what I mean? And that's not, like I said, it's not a complete answer, but it's definitely something. And I think it's the reality of it, you know, that you sort of, you know, you see all these things moving in a way that's consistent with your will, and you're like, I am doing that, and therefore everything is under my control, and that is illusory. There is always chaos. You may have a destiny, you may have a fate, and it may be great, but you might get hit by a car walking across the street at any given time, because there is also chaos. Chaos is real, and chaos can fucking kill you. So, I mean, and anything I say could be complete bullshit, but that's my take. That's what I think. So yeah, I'll try to connect with you guys again very soon. To my patrons, I apologize that the secret stream was in 2 parts and it was really choppy, but I think it was still valuable. And I'm gonna jump back in there and try to Flesic, thank you for being present, and thank you for your assistance. This is definitely, it's just crazy, because it was literally the best time I think in my entire life. Like, it was the first time I think where I felt like I was completely happy about who I was. My environment was exactly the way I would dream it to be, like, and it went from, you know, almost impossibly idyllic paradise to an absolutely nightmarish hell in the blink of a fucking eye. That actually fucking happened. So, you know, obviously it hasn't stopped me. It hasn't stopped me, but it's definitely I mean, really, honestly, you know, it's made me a better person. It's made me more aware, and it's made me more kind, and it has made me more appreciative. I was thinking, you know, about my partner the other day, the way that I interact with her. I don't really know what happened. She just made a simple movement or something, you know, but maybe accompanied by a sound and a gesture. And it's like, it wasn't a person making a statement or something. It was like a 1,000-petaled lotus blooming, and every single petal was some aspect that I adored, you know, generosity and love and sexiness and beauty and, you know, her motherliness and selflessness and, you know, all of these things just blooming simultaneously in 1,000 different directions. And so, you know, I mean, nothing can really compensate for that kind of loss, but we have to do the best we can, you know, to transmute the lead into gold. And in this case, it's really mercury into gold, which is much more appropriate. I guess I wish I knew what you were talking about. Yeah, well, the audience is dying down, and I wish I could answer people, you know, privately, because I certainly would, if I could, but I can't. So thank you guys again for spending this time with me, and I'll be back in a few days, hopefully, with probably a full stream about, you know, transmuting tragedy, although I'm new to that, so I just hope that I have enough of substance to feel justified in talking about it. And I'll see you guys again soon.